see if anyone joins the stream. I've got this, and I'm in Andalo. So, and I thought I'd chat about this bike. Let's close this. Don't want reflections. There you go. We've got somebody on, right? Yeah, so basically the idea of this stream is just a quick sort of, let's push that back so we can get the bike in and get me in at the same time. Oh. So we've got this bike, the Rotwild R.EXC. I've got it on test. I'll be testing it for the next few days. And I thought I would have a chat about it because this is the bike that's going to have a DJI motor on it, or an Avinox motor. You can always get into that as well if people want to chat about how the Avinox worked. Rode it recently. This has got the Shimano EP801 motor on it, and I thought it would be quite an interesting thing to discuss it because this, I mean, I've just set the bike up today, ridden it around a little bit, but not much. And I have to say, I was quite surprised the amount of power that comes out of this motor is very impressive. We've got 7 people on, but this motor, or this bike, comes with this, which has pretty much one of the nicest batteries that has ever been made on any e-mountain bike. And I was going to, so it's a BMZ 800 watt hour battery. We've got 2 on it. It's got a Rotwild connector on the end. These, in my opinion, are the best connectors for connecting batteries to bikes. Specialized used to use this. I don't know if they still do. Can't remember. But in my opinion, the best battery connector, or that one of the new Pinion. The new Pinion battery connector is very good as well. Yeah. So it's a carbon chassis, from what I understand. And this battery, but it's not just this that's the most important point of this bike. And if you get close and you have a look at the frame, it's got, first of all, it's got a suspended connector here in the lower frame area, which moves around. And that is pretty interesting because it means it can follow any movements of the battery. The other thing to note is this is a double skinned frame. So you've got the outer frame tube, and you've got the inner, which contains the battery. Now inside this, it's got, looks like it's got some reinforcement points, some rubber sort of adjustments, or rubber sleeving, not even sleeving, it's like a shim, let's say. It's got a metal, strong metal spring, probably hear that. And what I think is pretty much one of the best engineered battery release systems I've ever seen on any e-bike ever. So when you put the battery in, it just and does not move. It's absolutely solid. Really impressive. Now the button here, now you've got 2 versions of button. This one has got no key lock on it, but the key lock one has a small hexagonal key, I think like a 3mm or 2mm, and you can undo it or you can lock it up so it doesn't push out. But otherwise, this one has a double stage press. So you press it once and then you press it again and it comes out, and it's absolutely impressive. I've never found a better release mechanism than this particular system, let's say. Now, if you've got any questions, just, you know, drop them in the chat. I'm doing this directly from YouTube, so I have no idea how it's going to work or how the sound will be as well. It should be okay, but you know, we don't know. So let's just see. Can you hear me? You should be able to hear me all right. And we've got 8 viewers. That's good. Hi, everybody. Now, this has got the Shimano EP801 motor, which in my opinion is, well, I haven't really ridden it for a long time, to be honest. I think I last rode it on this bike back in March. And it's obviously not the motor of the moment. It's lost its favor. Shimano have obviously, I don't know what they're doing. They're working somewhere. But I also today, and I've got it on video, I saw the I think it's the EX or the MX 1000, which is their pinion e-bike, which has the same quality finish. I mean, this frame is incredible. If you look at the finishing, if I take the swing arm here, for example, where it joins in the main part of the frame, we've got a raised swing arm here, so it's quite a silent ride. And we've also got this rocker link here. You can also adjust the position of the shock to give a different dynamic on suspension and ride height. But basically, looking at the frame construction here and the angles and the lines and the indentations where the shock sits, it's just unbelievable how good quality it is. And I suspect when they have the DJI version, so they've re-engineered the bottom, but the battery's the same. They've just re-engineered the holder, the container for the DJI motor. The DJI motor is actually bigger than the Shimano motor. This is a little bit smaller, a bit more compact. But yeah, it's certainly interesting to see how these two will compare. But the ride feel, now this is a full carbon version, I think. So we've got carbon. Have we got carbon? No, it's not the carbon. It's the R.EXC. Don't think it's the full carbon version. I'm going to have to check this wheels, but anyway, it's got, I think, no, it's got aluminium wheels. It's got Crank Brothers wheels, and it's basically what I would expect from a high-end bike. And this is not a cheap bike. I think we're talking around 8,000, which is, you know, high-end in my opinion. I think pricing, we get to pricing levels, and I mean, e-bikes got out of hand really, especially at the lower end of the market. Well, the lower end. Let's say in 2017, a good e-bike with SLX components used to come in at around 3,800, 3,900 euro with XT derailleur, etc. Now, that same bike would cost you 6, which I think is a little excessive. But this thing is definitely one of my favorite finishes for the price range. And you look at the competition against this bike and you'll find you'll be wanting, let's say, to have the same quality bike at this price range. I mean, if you compare this to a Specialized, the finish on this is better, definitely, but obviously pricing is fairly similar, let's say. But yeah, interesting. So anyway, I was surprised riding this round the town, basically just doing a quick setup. I forgot how good the Shimano motor was and how much power it had, and also how quiet it is. How many watts? Well, the battery, 840. So yeah, 840 watts on this battery is quite small. But something I need to make clear about battery wattage and size is, does your other half know that you are sharing a hotel room with an e-bike? Should we ask her? Which one? Which one shall I ask? I know Brits do weird things on bank holiday weekends, but yeah, that's true. I actually live in Italy, so where I am in Andalo is, well, you'll see the video that comes out of testing riding. But I've actually got 3 bikes with me. I've got this, I've got the Mondraker Crafty R, and I've got with a Bosch motor, which has got a problem on it. It's just broken the spider on the motor. So I'm going to see if I can get that fixed tomorrow morning, but it looks pretty difficult because you need a specific Mondraker spider for that motor. And I don't know how it happened, but the spider looks like it's split apart and it just sort of spins. So that's a little bit of a nightmare. I was trying to fix it earlier, but there we go. And I've also got my, I'm going to do a proper ride review on it in Merida 160, which is not an e-bike. So I'm looking forward to riding that as well. Got 3 bikes and yeah, and Lift Pass. Doing this in collaboration with Andalo. They want me to come here and ride, so I said, yeah, no problem. And yeah, anyway, yeah, the batteries. I think I don't know, I can't weigh it. I don't have a way to weigh it, but it's pretty heavy, pretty dense. And the thing I wanted to say is that the cell types in this are going to be the high-end cells that you get. BMZ, high quality battery maker, they're going to have access to the best cells that are out there on the market. I don't know if they're 18650 or 21700s, but whatever battery cells they are, they will be the highest density, highest quality. So it's expensive. This thing is expensive. And I suspect that it will be using a similar cell types to, that's interesting, I just noticed, oh, that's the beeper, isn't it? So similar cell types to all the other brands, but the arrangement and layout, so if we look here, you can see it's not particularly, it's asymmetric, it's not symmetric. So as it fits in the frame that way around, you can see the form of it. It's not very wide and fat. Now, I don't know what that means. Now, I do know testing these batteries, they have to undergo rigorous testing. So this would have to, I think it has to resist 15 Gs, no, 150 Gs. And on top of that, it has to also undergo impact testing, I think 10 times or something, being dropped. I'm not quite sure. But you know, the density, the weight of the battery is mostly the cell types. It's 80–95% the cells are very similar. So I'm not quite sure how they engineered this to get this level of density and compactness. I mean, they just removed the air from inside the cells. That's all I can think of. I don't know if that affects the heating of the system. I mean, trying in a hot Italian upper hill, but I mean, the Shimano motor doesn't really drain at a particular high rate. Doesn't really drain at a particularly high rate the batteries very much, because it's only a 600 watt peak, I think. So, or 590 something. It's not even as much as the others. So it doesn't. I wouldn't suspect you'd overheat this, but I'd be interested to see, because it's the same battery type with. Could you do a serious ASMR bike unboxing? Oh, okay. And so it looks like a few people I know are in the chat too, is trolling me, but there we go. Anyway, so basically drawing out 1,000 watts or probably more, which what the Avinox motor can do. I wonder what will happen to the heating on this unit, especially if it's so densely put together. I wonder if the motor kicks out the full power with this battery. Don't do a striptease. Anyway, so there we go. One of the best battery systems on the market, in my opinion, from what I've seen from all the different ones out there. But I'm kind of interested to know why Specialized. Well, I think I have my theories on why Specialized batteries quite big, and I think it's down to the fact that they spend a lot of time working on safety and heating, and I suspect that is one of the reasons that they've gone for a slightly bigger battery size, so they have a slightly larger gaps between the cells. Now, theory is that, this is my theory, so I don't know if it's true. I'd love to know. I'd have to try and find the fire report, but the British Specialized headquarters burnt down. So because it burnt down, I'm wondering what started the fire. Who knows? Could be a proper battery fire, because I have got a video somewhere of a Specialized battery catching fire. And my theory is they had a warehouse fire, so they spent a lot of time working on battery safety. And this is all allegedly, so I have no idea, but it'd be interesting to know, because obviously they're not going to tell the public, are they? They're going to protect their, the point. So I'm wondering if battery fire, so they built the battery differently. They made it, I think it's one of the most waterproof batteries out there. And at the same time, as being one of the most waterproof batteries, it's probably fire resistant. And I think it might be to do with heating, cell spacing, things like that. I know Giant, back in the day, they worked on slightly bigger cell spacing. Each cell had its own protective covering. I think Specialized had done that. I've not seen inside one of the batteries, so I'd have to find a cross-section of one to see what it's like, see how it's built. But I think they did it because they had a battery fire which set fire to their British warehouse, but I don't know. There must be a report on that, a fire safety report. It'd be worth trying to dig out and find what the truth is to that. So anyway, so yeah, that battery is pretty much, if you look at it as well, the space it occupies on the frame, it's not particularly low down either. So interesting. But I do know SRAM, as we've seen on Pink Bike, have their new motor coming with a battery all around the bottom. And I do know they're going to be doing some testing with OEM. So it'll be interesting to see what that unit comes out like, keeping the weight down low. But this one doesn't seem to be particularly high. I don't know how much difference it makes, and if you've got to really bring that weight right down low to balance the bike. But after riding the Pinion gearbox, Specialized UK headquarters were gutted by fire last night with a 4-hour effort by the London Fire Brigade to get the blaze under control. This was in 2021. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It sort of matches with the timeline of releasing the bike. Suspicion, I wonder. Possibly. Obviously, it's all theory. I have no idea. But there must be a fire report somewhere. I wonder if somebody can dig that out. Look for a fire report, the original reason of that warehouse catching fire. Because I'm sure that was the influence of their battery. The warehouse caught fire. They found it was the cause was one of the batteries caught fire. They're like, right, we've got to engineer our batteries to be so they can never catch fire. And that's why you've got a big chunky battery. That's my theory. I wonder. I've never actually asked them. It'd be interesting if they would confirm it. Obviously, it's probably commercial suicide, but you never know. I might be right. It is a bit suspicious though, isn't it? They came out with a bigger battery when they used to make more compact batteries. I wonder. Anyway, so engineering. But anyway, basically, we've got, an 840 watt hour battery on this motor means you've basically got more range than you could possibly ever need, really, unless you're a very heavy rider. And I'm like not a very heavy rider. I'm reasonably heavy, 90 kilos, 92 with all my gear, maybe. So it'd be interesting to see what the range of this would be. But a lot of it, I think, depends on also heat, temperature, where you're pedaling. I was recently in the UK riding around, probably seen this one of the videos, and I really found, and I had the Ascol motor with me, and it was basically, I'm used to Alpini, so that's the Maritime Alps that go down the middle of Italy up to 2,500 meters big hills, a lot of riding. Found myself in the UK, drove around a bit, find some big hills, big trails, found, I think, 600-meter hill. It's about 1,200 foot, was about as high as I could get. And yeah, wasn't particularly impressed with the need of all the range and big battery. I mean, just for the pure climbing, you don't really need it. This is from Google AI. Okay, interesting. So yeah, AI doesn't know everything. It's pretty good though. It's getting pretty good. I've noticed AI is actually recommending some of my articles now. It quotes me and a few of my colleagues from different magazines. It's very bizarre, AI. I'm not really, I think it's just, when it comes to bike stuff, it's just regurgitating what it already knows. So, you know, if you're, the cause of the fire at Specialized UK holders determined to be a fault within a lithium-ion battery, likely a manufacturing defect or damage that triggered a thermal runaway event. Okay, I'd be interested to know where that citation's from. The fire which devastated the warehouse began in areas storing used lithium batteries. Specialized issued a voluntary recall in May 2021 for setting battery packs used on the first generation Turbo Lever on Kenevo e-bikes, a move that potentially relates to the incident. Askell Best Motor e-bike. Nilox K2, yeah, it's a good motor, the Askell. People, it's improved. I've ridden it in the last year. The software's improved on it. It's not perfect. They don't have a big R&D budget like some of the other brands, but it's pretty good and it's got a lot of power. And it rides very similar to a Bosch, not as quite smooth, but it fits a Shimano bolt pattern, which is pretty good. And it would actually fit this. You could bolt it into this frame, and you could even have the communication of the Rotwild battery and directly into the Askell motor, and it would work. So it would be an interesting combination to ask them. I wonder if we can sort that out, because I do know the Askell people quite well now, and I can probably ask them. But they're all a bit cagey. You know, a lot of it depends on the frame cutouts as well. So if we turn the bike round, if you want to, because I mean, a lot of the Go Bow do this as well. So let's have a look here. So this spacing here, this is the sensitive area. So this is where the stator sits inside most motors, and also on the Shimano motor as well. So you've got the stator, and you've got the stator's in the center. You've got the coil on the outside, and that spacing there is critical for allowing Askell motor or a Go Bow motor to fit on another bike. So it's definitely something that's worth looking at to see if you could do it, but it wouldn't look as smooth as this. I mean, look at this integration on this. I mean, for all the people complaining about Shimano's problems, which they do have little faults in this, I mean, I haven't got any direct experience. I've had a few error codes thrown from batteries being used with Shimano motors pedaling, but nothing that stopped the motor dead. And but Shimano have done amazing ergonomics. I mean, this is an old design of motor, and look, it just sits and looks great. I mean, there's no doubt. This bike also has an amazing seat post on it. It's got the 8 pins, so it's got a mechanical seat post that's integrated, and you can hear that moving probably. It's pretty good. You can also set it to your own personal. Just put tire marks on the wall of the where I'm staying. Oops, I sneaked in with the bike. Oh. Anyway, what's the last thing? Recall of batteries, awesome power, incredible Askell. Yes. Yo, Alex, sick bike man, looks like a San Andreas mountain cycle. Yeah, it is interesting, this arch race. Now, they did explain to me what the reasoning was behind it, but I can't remember. It's I think it was to do with noise, styling, and moving the pivot forward to improve the pedaling dynamic. I think that's what it was, but don't quote me on that because I can't remember exactly. At the end of the day, I don't get too much into the sort of the suspension dynamics, because there's a lot. I mean, there are people out there who can do it a bit better than me, first of all, and second of all, I just want to see how it rides. I know how bikes ride pretty well. And, you know, the controversy, I saw Rob Rides just launched a video I was texting him the other day, and yeah, interesting. He came back at me in his video about the cadence-based cycling experience that I had with the Avinox, saying, "Oh, you can adjust it." And yeah, now I did adjust the original Avinox, but it didn't change it much from my experience. But yeah, this is more of a talk-based, so I should explain that one day. I'm going to do a video on that because I think that's an important aspect. A little overpriced for me, but I still like it. Yeah, like, so how do the pricing of bikes work? I was talking to a product manager the other day. They said that basically if you've got a bike, 20% the government gets. So if it's 100, so 20 goes to the government. And that leaves 30% for the shop, 30% for transport. That means shipping from China, transport, R&D, those kind of costs. And then you've got about 30% dedicated to pure manufacturing costs. So margins on bikes are, I don't know. I'd be interested to know how much of, say, let's take a derailleur. I've got an XT derailleur on this. I'm interested to know how much of the price of the XT derailleur is the actual material cost, and how much, if you compare it to an XTR, is the R&D cost. So I assume the XT will have an R&D price attached to it, and the XTR will have an R&D price attached to it for developing it. So that might be where the pricing comes, but the actual physical material costs, I mean, the wheels probably come out the same machine, the cage comes out the same machine, the forging of the parallelogram comes out the same machine. I don't think the pricing is going to be vastly different. By the way, there's 16 people online watching this. This is pretty cool. I'm grateful for everyone to watch this impromptu stream. I have now got a studio. You've probably seen me using it, which is pretty nice. And I was planning on doing some podcasts and streaming from that, coming sort of starting from September. I'm going to line up a sidekick to join me, just discussing with them ideas and stuff, and try and do a podcast every 2 weeks. I don't know if we'll do it live or if we'll do it recorded, but yeah, it's great to see everybody online. I really appreciate the support. The channel's growing massively. So this is EP8 and not the DJI one. Yes, correct. This is the EP8 version. They still have a load of these in stock, and actually on discount. I saw them. They were down from 11,000 down to 8. Bargain. I wonder if everyone gets my sarcasm. I'm interested to know. Do feedback in the comments and in the chat. If should I say "Hey chat"? I don't know if that's the right way to say it. But yeah, feedback in the comments on my sarcasm, because I do some deadpan, convincing lines which people assume I'm being serious, but you know, sometimes are tongue-in-cheek. So us, what's that say? I can't read that. My eyes aren't working for it. Us 16 have no life as well. What's us 16? I don't know what that means. Oh, us 16. Oh, us, all of us, 19 now. Yeah, we've got no life. So, yeah. Well, I just drove. I had a brilliant day out with my boys, and honestly, it's the best thing. On the lake, I put a little reel up, just having fun. I ate some food, chilled out, because the idea was to sort of do some work and ride tomorrow and Tuesday. Absolutely love it. It's the best thing. I think if you are going to get an EP8 bike, better go consumer direct, way better value. Yeah, that's true. However, I have something to say about e-bikes. I'm a little annoyed with e-bikes, I have to be honest, because I think they got a bit complicated, and I've had quite a lot of unreliable systems recently with little things that don't quite work that I've had to like fix. And it's not because there's a problem with the product. It's more like because it got wet, it got dirty, I don't know, different things, or it's just used. And I've got some older bikes now which are creaking along, let's say, and sort of prompted me to go, well, hang on a minute, do I really need any of this? And that's why I went back and bought myself a an enduro bike without any motor. I thought, right, chuck this in the proverbial bin and let's go simple. And guess what? Even that has a few problems. And there's a spacer missing, so the crank just goes like this. So it's bicycles, guys. They just don't work properly. There's always some little technical problem, which kind of annoys me considering how much we pay for them. So anyway, I'm looking to pre-order the Crucis Hardtail Avinox 800 watt next spring. Yeah, definitely. Only issue is you can't remove the battery, but fast charging. Yeah, I mean, I just need to get some water, guys. Hang on, give me a second. Yeah, the Crucis, interesting bike, 800 watt. Once we got like this bike versus Nuke-proof megawatt carbon RS. I absolutely love the Nuke-proof. That bike's geometry and ride feel is unbelievable. And I have asked them to send me one, and we'll see if I actually get one. But I know someone who's got one, but I won't say who it is, from the last time round. I'm kind of jealous. I wish I had that bike. Just sat there ready to roll all the time on board. Take the Nuke-proof. It was an epic bike, and SRAM did a brilliant system, the motor integration, the sensitivity on the rear wheel grip, the auto shift. I mean, it's an epic bike, but pretty expensive again, £10,000 or euros. I think they're 11,000 euros, £10,000. Not cheap. Maybe the 7 or 8 grand one was better to go for. Anyway, so yeah. So I put it up against this. I mean, it's got a nice frame finish on this. You can see the money's been spent on a high-end finish. I mean, even if you take a look at the swing arm, there's a slight crease, just like the finishing on here, on the rear insert, which they've obviously put in for the thread. This crease line that follows here, down there. I mean, it is really, they've spent time and money on the molds. It's high quality, there's no doubt. It's not shoddy. And also you've got the ability here to adjust the rear axle. It's a flip chip there. I might play with that tomorrow. I might flip that over and lengthen it. It already feels pretty long, actually. So that's definitely what to do. Hello, Alex. What bike is this then? This is a Rotwild, for those who join the stream a bit later, R.EXC. So I think that is, let me just check. I think that's the cheaper version, Rotwild R.EXC. Let's just check that. Oh, there's the EXC and there's the Pro. It's a top tier mountain bike. So it's the R.EXC Pro. Is this the Pro version? I think it is the Pro version. And okay, it's got all the details. It's got the elevated box design, and it gives better symmetrical stiffness, and also it gives the rear wheel better tire clearance, and chain slap is significantly reduced. It is a quiet bike, and that is true. It is a quiet bike, I will say that. It does look sexy. I bet you could pull Sandra Bullock with that bike. Sort of looks like an orange bike at the rear end. Yeah, I like orange bikes. You know, something about orange bikes. So I went to watch them building their frames back in 2015, I think it was. And they hand weld them. And the thing that I noticed there's a couple of welders sat there, and I got some shots. I wonder if I can find them. But they had some very interesting reading materials glued to the wall. That's all I'll say. You never made a new review of the Dentist bike GLP-3. To my chance, and will receive it in about 2 weeks. I hope it lives up to your positive short video of the GLP-3. It's the ride feel of that bike is amazing. I mean, look, Nico Vulio designed that bike. If you know who Nico Vulio is, I mean, he is a picky person, and he wanted a perfect bike. Unfortunately, he's kind of disappeared because he had a crash and he's had a head injury, and I don't know what's going on. Sometimes I find out information on him, but apparently he wasn't in a good state the last time I heard about it. But that bike with the battery weight down low, it is one of my favorite all-time ride feel bikes. I don't think you can go wrong with it. You're not going to regret it. It's an amazing bike. It just rides. So it feels like a lightweight e-bike just because the weight's all concentrated in the center, and that will change how you feel about it. So yeah, and it's got a big battery on it as well, 800 watt. You're going to have a good ride with it. And you probably, if you got it at a good price, and I assume you did, because they're like, at a good available price, you should be happy with that. And it's got, did you get the race motor version, or did you get the lower down ones? Because I know there's a couple of versions there, but definitely a good one. Fizzy Orange. Orange makes killer bikes, Fizzy Orange. What do you think is happening with Shimano and DJI Motors in the future? Ooh, good question. Right. Shimano have been quite famous for being completely useless when it comes to communicating with the press. I used to work for MotoGP Suzuki, so I know how the Japanese culture is, and they're amazing engineers, absolutely top engineers, but they have very much a consensus-based culture. So all I do know is what they have said through back channels is, we make bicycles, we don't make motorbikes. Those words have been used. So I don't know if that means, distorted here, let's just move that back. I don't know if that's what that actually equates to, particularly in what they're working on right now. I mean, the Japanese, the Yamaha have come up with 100 Newton meters. I assume Shimano will do that, but they're going to have to change the design. They work on a long-term strategy. Back when they released their original E8000, which I was the first one to actually ever ride, which is quite shocking. I got the very first test unit in Europe and rode it, and it cut out. It was a disaster, but at the same time, like within a month or a few weeks, they'd done massive software updates and it worked really well. And I was riding up the hill just going, wow, what have they done? At that time, they really put a knife through the market and just told everyone to get lost, because they had created such a quality ride feel. It was just like a bicycle. It was amazing. So I'm wondering if they do that again, but in what context? I mean, I personally believe gearbox bikes are probably the future. I think the full power thing, the 1,000 watts, 750, 800 watts, is all a bit of a distraction, really. If you remove that unsprung mass from the rear, put it in the center, the bike rides incredibly well. Absolutely. I mean, I was riding the high bike with the pinion, and I essentially found that bike, which had worse suspension, and I didn't really set it up properly compared to, say, the Mondraker RR. And when you compare the two back to back, the Mondraker was it's an amazing bike, but the pinion or the high bike with a dodgy setup and worse suspension rode better, and it just did. I mean, and maybe luck, maybe judgment. It was smaller, bump compliance was better. It was amazing. So the gearbox, that made a bigger change to the ride feel of a bike than power alone, because power is only good uphill. Because if you follow the thread of people's thinking, they say, oh, I want the 1,000 watts, so I can just zip round really fast all the time. You go, okay. You want to ride downhill then, so why don't you ditch all of that stuff and just ride downhill, and don't worry too much about the speed to get up so you can do as many laps, because you're not really going to save many times, maybe a few minutes, not hours. So at the end of the day, rather than carrying all that weight, carry less weight, or carry the weight better aligned on the bike, and not worry too much about the speed to get up there. And essentially, you can do better rides down because you've got a better weight distribution. Let me just read the comments. I can't read from all the way over there because my eyes aren't good enough. Did that video comparing the high bike to the Mondraker mean you're going for the high bike? I'm gearing up to buy the CF10 or 11. Yeah, they're expensive. The gear bike I was riding, for the component oiled with a silo front fork. It was a little bit disappointing, to be honest, the pricing. But you're getting a gearbox, so I mean, it's a first generation gearbox, but I know other brands are working on gearboxes. I spoke to one the other day and they're working on one. So, you know, can't say who that is, but they are working on them. So it's not just, and I know another bike company that has also just done, they were like, okay, should we build a DJI bike? No, let's build a gearbox bike. And they've gone around just testing all the gearbox options out there to see what they can come up with, because they'd rather do that than have, basically have a full power, because they just think, well, the prestige of having a, say, an Avinox motor, say, to get extra sales, because it's all about selling at the end of the day, and it's not about doing everyone a favor to make go fast up the hill. It's actually about just selling things. For sure, I work at the bike shop. That's the only reason it's within my budget. Yeah, exactly. Your boss, though, might be a bit annoyed with you. He might say, man, I'm giving you 30% off. You know, that's his kid's lunch money for going to school, or I don't know, maybe he's got a V8 and he wants to keep that in fuel and he's downgraded to a Panda, so you can have the high bike. I don't know, but yeah, no, it's expensive. There's no doubt. Anyway, we got 31 people online, 33 sometimes. That's amazing. I am absolutely stunned. The channel's growing and it's pretty impressive, and I absolutely love doing it. I love also provoking a little bit, and I do actually know what I'm talking about. For those people who hate me or think I hate DJI, I don't hate DJI. I just like having fun with the whole thing. I used to work in the bike shop when I was 14 in the 80s. Yes, I used to work in Halfords. It was my Saturday job from the age of 16 to 19, yeah. And I carried it on. It was amazing. I went to university and just kept working the bike shop on Wednesdays and Wednesday evenings, and I think Sunday evenings or Saturday evenings. I was working like a couple of evenings a week. You're probably right. Thanks for doing those videos, mate. I was very pleased to see those. Yeah, you know, no one, I don't know. This year has been a really hard year to get hold of product to test. No one's got it, or they've just sold out, or it's delayed, or I don't know what's going on. And somehow I have managed to get more product than any other YouTuber out there, apart from those who are being paid to do videos, which is nothing wrong, by the way, with being paid. I have no problem with that. As long as they're transparent about it. They must say it's a channel sponsor, video sponsor. They've got to be really clear that that is what, and we're not testing the bike. We are just doing a product look. We're going over the specifications. We're giving you a bit of like, yeah, it rides like this kind of thing. And I have no problem with that, but I don't like this idea of paid for reviews. I just think that, you know, they're a bit suspect, let's say, because I mean, if somebody's paying you, what are you going to do? Like, be rude about their product? I mean, who is it? It's Ian Thomas. Were you going to go into them and say to your boss after he's given you a massive discount on his bike, oh yeah, your bike shop's crap, I prefer the one down the road? I don't think so. So I mean, not if you're a good human, I would say. So you want to be respectful to those people who you work with, I would say. And because you are working with them at the end of the day, even if they're sponsoring, they are working with them. I do have a sponsor. I've got this, I could do it, throw it in there. I mean, it's the very first, I did a question, that came out recently. And there's this crazy channel that just sells these things, brand bobs. It's the massager. And I was going to do a sponsored spot, not on this video, on another one, but I got it with me, this thing. So, I mean, I can't like do a review of this. I just have to say, this is a product. They've given it to me to use, and I've tried using it. And yeah, it's a bit dodgy though, isn't it? It's the closest thing I thought would be relevant to the channel. So anyway, interesting. More about that another day. Anyway, I was aiming to buy my first e-bike. Some of the prices have been considerably higher than last year, but that I've been monitoring. Yeah, direct consumer brands. Who's next on the chopping block after YT? Oh, good questions. Good points. I think that what we're going to be seeing is probably, yeah, YT are I mean, I think they shot themselves in the foot. Isn't it strange that Wiggle, Chain Reaction, who were competing hard on price, they blew up, and so have YT. I find that interesting. I think you can't. The Bosch one is in poor in comparison. Yeah, the Bros is amazing. Yeah, the Bros. It's the Rosenberger, for those who don't know. I'll drag that out for you. It's that one. That's the best battery connector market for sure. Definitely. Anyway, yeah, the direct-to-consumer brands, my opinion is you need bike shops. You can't get around it. I mean, these bikes are so techy now. I've had no problems on e-bikes for very many years, and then I've suddenly had times where I've had more problems, and there's a cable that's wrong, there's a connector, there's something like that. And sometimes it's not like it's a complicated thing, but you've got to feed the cabling, strip the motor out, strip everything off it, just to replace the cable. And you're going to post the bike back to YT or Canyon, and they're going to do that for you and then post it back to you. Canyon made a clever move and did some, they created some of their own service partners, which is pretty useful. But at the same time, I don't really think that that's enough, really. You do need people who care about the bikes, who can advise properly, and who can give you that sort of support whenever you need. I mean, like this evening, I made a call to Bosch on a Sunday night, and the dude's on holiday because I broke the spider. Well, I didn't break it. I don't know how it broke. I think the chain dropped, got jammed between the spider and ripped it off. So I'm going to see if I can get it fixed for tomorrow. But to say, okay, what do I do with this? Because I need to get it fixed. And the dude responded. I mean, like, that's, first of all, I have to say thanks to the Bosch Tech. If you're watching, you know who you are. And second of all, like, you need that level of service. Service is everything. And I think when you buy a motor package, you probably buy a service package as well. I don't know how the OEMs work. I do know that Avinox is a very cheap system for people to buy. If you want to have an Avinox installed on your motor, it's actually cheaper than Bosch to buy and install. But I don't know, like what's included in their packages. I'm sure they have a business package where you get a certain number of spare parts, certain number of interventions. I don't know how it works, but I would assume it's not just the products and then here's our service tech phone number, call it if there's an issue. I'm sure there's some kind of deal going on and something worked out so they know how to deal with it. Yeah, that's what I would assume. But it would make sense, wouldn't it? So, right. It keeps me actually on the best battery miles from me. Will sell me an e-bike, but they do, nor do they do repair. That's strange. They do not even know where I could have to send the bike. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it, that shops sometimes just like go. I mean, I'll tell you a story. I broke down in my car once, and I got lifted onto the back of a recovery truck, and the dude in the recovery truck was chatting and goes, "Oh, what do you do for a job?" And I was like, "Yeah, bike journalist." He's like, "Oh, really interesting." And yeah, I've got an e-bike. It's a Trek, and it's been stopped for the last 3 months. I was like, "Okay, well, what's wrong with it?" And the shop doesn't seem to do anything. They seem to have, there's a problem with, I don't know. Anyway, so I was like, well, that's very odd. Can you, do you have some kind of reference number towards it? So he gave me the reference number. Anyway, next morning, I called Bosch Tech, and the next day he had a new motor installed and he was away with it. So he saved me with a car, and I managed to return the favor and get him moving. But that's not really the way it should be working. It should basically be that all the shops are equal. It doesn't matter the store you go into, you get that top service. But e-bikes they're annoying me at the moment. I have to say the tech is too much. I mean, is this e-waste or is this an e-bike? Because is this still going to work in 20 years? Question. Can it need an aftermarket path to have aftermarket ability to fix these bikes to keep them moving over 10 years, 20 years? So it should be back. Okay, we're back. Hopefully we're back. I've tried it. There you go. I've switched connection to the Wi-Fi. I was on the phone. See, 5G is not brilliant. Oh, it's all gone, but it should be back. So hopefully it's back. Should be back. Should be back. The upload is slow, eh? I have a 750 on my Bosch and e-bike. You're back. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Yeah, just a load of people dropped off there. Oh, they're coming back. Thank you, guys. Stream was a bit flaky there. I've switched to the Wi-Fi. Hopefully that's good enough. I don't, because I'm doing it direct from YouTube Studio. I can't see the bit rate out, so I can't see what's going on. I just did it pretty simple. I wanted to put it back up. I need a fiber connection, but this hotel doesn't have a fiber connection, so never mind. I'll do what I can. Yeah, I guess that's personal preference. We sell Merida bikes, but I completely bypass that brand for the fact they have the one bike with an 800 battery that doesn't appeal to me much. The geometry on that bike, though, that bike rides amazing. I mean, Merida bikes ride amazing. They are Specialized. I don't think Specialized should be called Specialized. They should be called Merida. Because I think Merida own a huge percentage of Specialized now. I don't know what it is, but a bit controversial. I have to put allegedly in that because, you know, I don't know all the facts and details. But I do know that Merida doesn't compete in the USA because they are owned by Specialized. So Specialized have like the USA market, and Merida don't compete against them because they own them. So it makes sense, really. You know, low rent, Specialized, basically. So, but good quality, amazing geometry. The 160 I've got, I love it. It's amazing. So, and it's amazing. I'm going to do a proper review of this bike. So it's worth noting that Andelo is a Merida test center. So you can, I think, get Merida bikes here to test. Oh, for sure, Merida is one of the biggest brands in Asia, even if the bike doesn't say Merida. A big undercover player in the industry for sure, definitely. I mean, they're making a lot of the frames. Giant and Merida, they build a lot of frames. So, I mean, if you look at the finished quality of it, it's pretty good. The only thing I've had, though, is the crank. It looks like there's a spacer missing. I don't really understand that because it didn't wobble, and now it does. And I've, compressed it down. It still doesn't seem to have managed to stay. I don't know. I think it needs another spacer on there. Anyway, welcome back. If you're back and watching the stream, we had a little outage there, so sorry about that. But it seemed to hang on. That was good. What brand would you pick if buying with your own money right now? Well, I already bought my own money. I bought a Merida 160. Or I'm actually looking to buy another enduro bike as well, possibly. I want a Marin Alpine Trail 1, which is low end but high quality. Look, the lower tier bikes of today are better quality than the top tier bikes of 10 years ago. That's no doubt. They ride amazing. They're probably weights are a bit heavier, but they're amazing. But the bike I would spend my money on, I mean, I haven't heard any feedback yet on the new Specialized Levo, but that would be definitely under my consideration. An aluminium version, probably unnecessary, the carbon. The Tok with the Ascold motor is a very good bike. I like that. It's fun. But it's very much a rocky, rough, up and down bike. It's not just a pure descending bike. It's more of a sort of, up and down trail bike. Enduro-wise, Canyon Strive On, brilliant bike. Absolutely brilliant. I had one on test for a while, and it was amazing. The Torque On was amazing. I had that on test for a long while. And I would Canyon Talk On and Score. Yeah, the Score's a good bike. I rode that for a while. I had a few tests on it. It was a good bike. Liked it. But I don't know if they're making anymore because BMC have paused it, haven't they? So maybe you can get some bargains on that. And then what else have I ridden recently? I would buy. It's a good question, The problem is, it's like I keep trying so many different bikes that I can't sit there and say, oh, this is the bike forever, because then I'll get given another one and I try that and go, oh, okay, it's interesting. if I had literally had the money, I'd probably go and buy myself a Nikolai with a gearbox, because the way that thing rides, but it is a bit heavy. So it's a bit of a plow, let's say, when it comes to going down rough stuff. But that bike, when you've got a balanced bike, it would perform, the suspension performs amazingly. Gearbox is good, battery's good. You know, quality of the product is top. So I would consider that probably with my money, or maybe one of these. I do like these, actually, from a fine finishing point of view. But I also loved the Trek Slash Plus, the one I was riding before I crashed and the day I crashed. That was an amazing bike, and I would love to have that with a slightly punchier motor, which has got coming. But I should be getting a propane to try soon. And yeah, I don't know. The market's so full, so much product out there. It's just insane. Trying to keep up with it and trying to keep in contact with everybody to get stuff to test it's a full-time job. So anyway, score is in pause now, but still support the bikes through BMC. Yes, that's true. I like the new Nikolai Freeride 180 e-bike. Now, the big one was a monster. It was a beast. It was a heavy beast. It was very long. For me, it was a bit too heavy. But if you're a big rider, maybe that's okay. But if you're in the 85 to 90 kilo category, I don't think you need a big beefy bike like that. So yeah, I mean, anyway, what's that? Philippe, hello, have ridden the transition regulator. Yes, the regulator's good bike. I mean, the Yeti with the new HPR 60, that might be something that I would ride. But you know, MBR, which is you know, good magazine, good guys working there. They have their DJI Fridays, and that's where they put a video out where they basically say, if it's not a DJI, it's not worth considering. And it's kind of a joke, but fundamentally, what I've noticed on when they did that bike, they said it was an amazing ride, but it's not a DJI. And I just think you got to stay away from that way, because you're going to annoy a lot of other brands if you do that. If you constantly complain about one motor not being another, then you're just going to like annoy everyone. I mean, you've got to be balanced. You've got to say, okay, what is the difference? And the difference between an Avinox, say, and a Bosch is really minimal. I mean, if you put it in full power mode, yeah, you can feel it going up the hill, but then you can do that with an Escol. So, you know, like, and you can do that with a Go Bow. And no one's ridden a Go Bow. I'm one of the only people who's ridden it. And, you know, it's got a lot of power as well, but they've cut it all at 750 now. So that's the UCI ruling for power for motors for racing, 750, which I kind of agree with, because at the end of the day, you've got to come in there with, because you're going to end up with 1,000 watts, and then you need a bigger battery. And then you have like a 6 kilo battery, and then you have a 2,000 watt, and then you have and it just get out of control. So I do think keeping them at 750, which is actually the American peak power standard, is sensible. So if you want to complain about power limits and stuff, I think should be lobbying the Americans, because they're the ones who've got that 750 limit. So because the 250 is a little bit like, it's being abused. I mean, there's no doubt it's being abused. So over 250, over 25 kilo, you do feel it after some time in the saddle. Yeah, just shifting it around. I mean, got quite a strong upper body, so I kind of get a good workout on an e-bike. I don't mind it, and I've got enough strength in me. But if you're a smaller or not strong rider, you're going to suffer with the heavier weights and the corners pushing in. Yeah, have I missed anyone's comments? So keep the comments coming. I'll keep the stream running for a while longer, because I'm enjoying this. I'm appreciating the feedback and having people watching. And yeah, as one of the guys wrote at the beginning of the stream, like, yeah, we're all the sad geeks on a Sunday night on a bank holiday. Well, it's a bank holiday in the UK, but my channel's actually got 60% of its traffic from the rest of the world, 40% from UK and America. It sort of shifts, 20% UK, 20% America. It sort of shifts a little bit. So I'm just it's amazing the reach that a YouTube channel can have if you are on a subject which is kind of unifying, let's say. And I love sport. I'm so glad I don't do politics and all those terrible channels, just rage baiting everyone. I like a bit of poking fun, but I like the unifying sensation of cycling. I mean, you go out with people riding from all over the world and you're all appreciating it the same. There's no bias. No one cares. You've got two wheels. Is the bike good? Doesn't really matter. I don't really care. In fact, when I go riding with my friends, we don't talk about what the bikes are at all. We just talk about nothing. We just talk, make jokes at each other. We don't talk about the bicycles. We don't care. And I think that's one of the things to take on board, that if you're riding, you've got to have fun, you know, just ride, have fun and enjoy your friends when you go for a ride, and screw the bikes, who cares? I mean, if somebody breaks down, what are you going to do? Look at him and go, oh, you've got a crappy bike because you got that component, like a troll on the internet. No, we're not. We're going to get off the bike like we all do, and we all go and help it. And within minutes, the problem is fixed and off we go again as a group. You know, that's the fun. It's hard to go back to a normal bike after e-biking. Yes, it is, isn't it? You know something about that? I thought that, and then I rode mine, and I was like, it's a different type of cycling. I was appreciating just slowly going up the hill at a sensible pace, better for my fitness. I'm trying to train a lot because my back is a bit, since the crash, like even just sitting in this position, I can feel it here because I got fused. I haven't actually done a video. I was going to do a video. I was going to do a video and publish the brutal results, the real-time video of the crash, which was a bit, I mean, it's a bit graphic. If you don't mind a lot of blood, I don't know. I think YouTube would block it, though. This is the problem. I'm trying to figure out what I can show and what can be educational, because it is an educational experience to see what I had to deal with. Yeah. But, yeah, so I'm training a lot, trying to get fit, watching the diet really carefully, and I've lost weight again. Actually, I sort of dropped when I crashed, and then it went back up again, and now I've got it back down and stable, just keeping the diet balanced, only eating carbs when I'm riding. Well, before I ride, I'll eat carbs, otherwise I won't. Just keep vegetables, low carb stuff. I'm not vegan. I mean, I ride an e-bike. Why would you be a vegan if you ride an e-bike? Anyway, and yeah, eat sensible and energy bars, sometimes the right ones, before you go for a ride. I want to do a video on diet, actually, and I've got this nutritionist friend who said they'd join in. She's pretty cool, and give you a whole feedback. And it's really eye-opening, actually, when you actually do it and you stick to what they say, because it's quite hard to control diet, especially removing unnecessary sugar. And but anyway, but that all helps with my training, and the normal bike is part of that procedure. Really, I wanted to get the fitness back, because e-bikes can be a bit lazy, let's be honest. I mean, unless you're prepared to, and I think a lot of the smoothness of the motor can do that. So I found the new Bosch Gen 5 in Tour Plus mode, tuned, or so just peaked a little bit, not too much, or Tour mode, if you're feeling fit and not tired. It is amazing, so smooth, and you don't feel like you're pedaling a brick along. So yeah. The next comments here. You seem to have a lot of knowledge in terms of quality, suspension, and bikes in general. Some channels miss that, and it hasn't been an annoyance with me. On your videos, very much a valued opinion. I really appreciate that comment. Yeah, I really try to inform myself. I mean, look, I studied a science degree. I did geology, soil science, meteorology. So it's like, you can't really say anything if you don't know it. And if I don't know it, I'm not going to say it. But sometimes I might have holes in what I say, and I have no problem being called out on it. Absolutely no problem. But I just think a lot of people, I mean, I watch all the competition. I see what they do. And they get a spec sheet and they just read the spec sheet. Apart from MBR, they actually do insightful stuff. And so does Test Pilots. And I'm working with those guys now a bit as well. But yeah, I mean, don't just read the spec sheet. I mean, who cares? You know, you can read that on the website. So, and I've been in bikes for 20 plus years, so that carries some weight. I appreciate that. That's, you know, I mean, this is a whole accident. I didn't intend to be a bike journalist. It just sort of happened. I was into photography a lot and shooting video, and then I started being in front of the camera because I realized photos on their own weren't really going to pull it anymore. I was getting a bit bored, and then, yeah. And then I just sort of got into it, and I love doing the videos. I absolutely love it. I love the educational side because it's the aim actually is to educate people. And I love the feedback. And I wish I could had more budget on my own channel to do more. It would be nicer, but it's an expensive business. If you drive somewhere, you take a bike, take a day out. You know, I'm working with Motor.it, which is very important, and I do everything in Italian, so I can switch to Italian whenever you want. So se c'è un italiano sta guardando questo video, ciao a tutti. So, you know, like, and that's really important for me. And Motor.it is one of the biggest two-wheel channels, media companies in the world. So it's super important that for me, and I do a lot of Italian tests, and that's more formal. So I don't have my wild opinions and wild takes on things as much. I tend to stick a little bit more conservative, but I do give an insightful, I'll try to be insightful when it comes to the actual opinion of the ride feel, but it's not easy to keep up with everything. There are some great other competitors out there. I've worked with most of the channels at some point in my life, but they are really, some of them do a great job, but I just don't like the sort of, the bike industry does annoy me where they're paying people and they're not being transparent about how they're doing it. Because if you look at the tech industry, Lions Tech Tips, Colin Samir chat, I think at minute 1 hour and 4 minutes, I think if you go look at that, you can see them talk about what is a paid review. You can't have a paid review. You can have a review or you can have paid content. And I've done paid content, but I've said this is a paid content supported by, and then everyone's fine with it. It's of course, because I've told everyone. But I don't think you can mixing the two is not really fair. I think the tech people do it well. Games Nexus, Lions Tech Tips, they have a good way of doing it. They have their reviews, they have their stuff said, but at the same time, they are actually pretty independent they're pretty independent on their reviews, and they have data to back it up. And getting data to back up a mountain biking is a little bit harder. Velomotion do a good job. I know Michael from Velomotion. They do a good job, but those are paid reviews. A lot of those companies actually pay to be put on the bench test. So, you know, there you go. I mean, does that make it invalid? No, because there's a number. I don't know how they do it, but a lot of them are paid. So, you know, it's I just want more transparency across the whole industry, actually. And I think it will hit biking eventually when we've got giant piles of e-waste sat there, which don't work anymore, which we spent 10, 20 grand on, and they just don't work, and you can't fix them. Well, it's not economic to fix them. Then I think there'll be a lot of backlash. There is something called Wiki. Lewis Rossman has just done a thing. He's created a channel called Wiki Consumer or something, or consumer.wiki. I just signed up today, actually, and I'm intending of trying to have, and I wanted to do a video all about that and bringing in people's experiences with products, and more, not on an individual level, but more on, is there a policy that's causing them to not own their bike? Like apparently with the Avinox, I didn't switch it on because I wasn't the first one on it, but apparently to actually turn the bike on the first time, you have to connect the app, which means your data has to go to Avinox and it has to sit on a server somewhere. Where's that server? Well, I know somebody who works with data, sensitive data, and they say don't trust those type of places because those servers are parked probably in Europe, but there's another mirror of it somewhere in another part of the world where that government will look at your data and they don't care. So it's what I tell customers: don't buy secondhand e-bikes on one hand, and on the other hand, sell your e-bike before it's 5 years old and no parts are available. Yeah, Bosch is very good with backup componentry. Specialized were, but I just tried to get a Gen 1 remote and cable, and they don't exist anymore. So that is a problem. We couldn't fix one. We just had to sort of wrap the cable because the actual house had got damaged. So yeah, e-waste. Are they e-bikes or e-waste? That's the question. I will do a video on that, but and that takes a lot of research to get a video together that's accurate. Because the whole recycling thing, because you can't even really recycle them. And the batteries, because if you open one of these cells in an oxygen environment, I'm gonna have to sit down because my back is tiring. Oh my God. If you try and Oof. Yeah, I don't recommend crashing, everybody. If you want to crash, it's yeah, I don't recommend it. Like right now, if I don't keep my core straight, my back, it's tired just sitting up. So, you know, always ride safe, wear protection as well. I say that to my children about biking. But, you know, yeah, wear protection. This channel, by the way, is sponsored by Liat. I am transparent. They sponsor the channel. They give us support. They give us all the gear that we need to use. They give us information, things like that. And they also help support some of the videos with money, which is great. So I'm really grateful to them for that. Anyway, so we've been on for 1 hour 13. We've still got 20 people watching. That's amazing. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give a like. If you haven't hit like, please hit like. It spreads the word around more. And yeah, and I will be riding this tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. It's such a beautiful bike. And this integrated seat post thing, the 8 pins, what an amazing thing. And it's mechanical, which is fantastic. I wonder if I can take it out. Let me see, because I did see them take it out once. I don't know if it's possible. Does it come off? Because there's some kind of, oh no, there's a couple of bolts. So I don't want to do that, do I? But it was some kind of, don't think this thing comes out. No, it doesn't. But the way it integrates into the frame is impressive. I have to say, I was impressed with the integration level and the mechanical. It's simple, simplicity, mechanical simplicity. So brakes can often be another problem, getting spare brake pads. Today I was looking for some Maven brake pads. Couldn't find them anywhere. Great. Still find old Shimano stuff. But even Shimano has problems with their brake pads. So if you've got the cooling fins, unless you get the actual cooling fin, sometimes they don't fit on other calipers. So I've had to even hack the cooling fins off with a hacksaw to get them to fit on another Shimano caliper. It's so ridiculous. It's just too many standards. I mean, it's bicycles, really. This is the point. We're riding bicycles. It should stay bicycles. You know, we're not riding motorbikes. It should be fixable at home. I should be able to take this product and fix it at home, in my opinion. But you can't. In fact, now you can even find out your error codes on your car by just plugging in. You can't do that on an e-bike. So I don't know. I mean, you know, everything's locked down for warranty purposes, safety, because these batteries are dangerous. You know, I was going to set fire to one. I have got a couple of old batteries. I might put them there, whack a nail into them. I want to see what happens. But I have to find how to do that because it's going to burn. It's going to burn strong and bright. And I'm probably going to have to call the fire brigade to tell them, oh, yeah, battery caught fire. They'll be like, why did that happen? So I need to find a way of doing that without annoying the local authorities because they are, after my crash, I really appreciate the local authorities rescuing me. There was a lot of people there. There was like 20 people to get me out of the woods. So I was grateful. What brakes are your current favorite? Ooh. Hayes and Maven. Shimano are good on e-bikes, I'll say. Hayes and Maven on e-bikes. Off e-bikes, even the base level Shimano are really very good on a non-e-bike because it all depends on the weight of the bike. If you've got a heavyweight bike, you're going to need an amazing brake. But with a lighter weight bike, you can get away with a cheaper brake, but it still works really well. I used aftermarket steel pads on my Shimano XT brakes. The cooling fin ones wear out and are garbage. They are indeed. Oh, the Hayes look so good. They are good. The Hayes are amazing. The Dominion, I've got them. They wear through the pads quickly, though. I have found that the pads are easily eaten through. Like you just completely, I mean, they're the shortest brake pads I've used, life cycle, basically. I don't even ride the bike a lot that had them on, and they just wore out really quick, even though they work amazing. Maybe, and they don't have a wandering bite point, so every time you squeeze the lever, it's precise. It's very important that for me. So yeah, change the battery first for max fireworks. Charge the battery first for maximum fireworks. Got to grab some chow. Good night, everyone. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I can because they're knackered. So yeah, I know it's boys having fun with things we shouldn't be having fun with. And in America, they go hog shooting with from helicopters with, you know, machine guns. So why can't we blow batteries up? Why not? As long as I don't start a forest fire and I'm not standing nearby and getting the chemical blast back in my face, killing me with some horrific injury from chemical burns or something. I don't really want that because they are pretty nasty chemicals inside these batteries. So anyway. Yes. Any more comments? We're getting up to 1 hour 20. If anyone else has got anything interesting they want me to talk about, let me know. And we got another one here. Saw the haze on the Atherton bike. I fell in love with that bike. Oh, such a lovely looking bike. Cost a fortune. Yeah. Okay. I've ridden both Atherton bikes. I've ridden the CNC aluminium one, bonded aluminium. I've also ridden they call one called additive manufacturing, the other one called reductive manufacturing, if I'm right. I've ridden that beautiful bike. Didn't like the ride feels much because when I rode the additive manufacturing, so the titanium lugs with the carbon tubes, that bike was incredible. I absolutely loved it. And that's what put me back thinking, oh, I really want to ride non-e-bikes again. So that was the bike that convinced me to do that again. So, and it was such an amazing experience. That bike is fantastic. And the brakes, yeah, had haze on it. They're good price, work amazing. Little fiddly to bleed, I have to say. Not impressed with the bleed procedure. Really annoying. Make a lot of mess. Not impressed at all. And I've got even the official bleed kit from Hayes to do it with, and I don't like it. So I will never ride a non-e. Yes, well, you are called electric trail surfer, aren't you? There's a reason for that. I use code R.EXC brakes with steel pads and 2020 rotors front and rear. 2020 on the rear? Wow. And XT on another bike with steel pads and 2020 rotors. I love my code R.EXCs. They are a good brake, and the Maven are better. The Maven are amazing. And the 2020 rotors, I agree. I have 2020 rotors on one of my bikes on the front. Makes a big difference, especially if you're body weight. On an e-bike, off an e-bike, you don't really need it. On the back, 2020, wow, I haven't done that. I have a couple of 2020 discs. Maybe I should try it, see if it is necessary. But I don't know. It's a lot of, I've run out of bolts and adapters, and the amount of fuss sometimes to get things to work you need to do. It's just, the prep time is a bicycle, and I find myself wasting days trying to prepare something to make it work so I could do a video on it. I thought you would get an Atherton after you rode it. I didn't have the cash to the side to buy one. I can buy 2 non-Atherton bikes for the price of an Atherton. But it is an amazing bike. I think they only make 2 per day, I think. But it is an amazing bike. It's an amazing bike. I mean, it has in Italian, they call it scorovalezza, which means sort of flow feel to it. That's just unbelievable. You don't have that. I've never felt that on any other bike out there, e-bike, any other bike. It is just carries speed constantly, even in sticky, horrible conditions. I was really surprised. And I was riding a bike, which I hadn't even really set up properly. So, you know, but it is an amazing bike. There is no doubt. And I would love to have one, but they are quite expensive. I think they're like 5,000. And I think they're in trouble as well. I don't know what's going on there, but anyway. So direct to consumer is the way to go. Bike shop bikes are way too overpriced. Yeah. I mean, you're saving 20%, 30%, as long as the direct to consumer doesn't muck it up. Who's direct consumer that I think? Propane, YT, Canyon. Somebody give me another name. I can't remember another one. Aston, I think, is direct consumer. They don't do it through. Who else? I'm got a mind blank. I'm quite tired. I drove a lot today. I know you're not the biggest fan of the Avinox, but have you seen the cruise bikes 2026? They're pretty good value. Right. Let's clarify my opinion of the Avinox. Right. The Avinox is another motor like all other motors. And all these motors have their pros and cons. My main problem is the hype from paid for journalists saying that it's an amazing motor, and they're almost indicating that it's like this much better than the other motors, but really the power is about that much better. This is the Bosch, and this is like 100% Bosch. The Avinox is 120% power. Ride feel? No way. It's different, and it has this cadence feel. So you put pressure on the pedal, you press, and it doesn't go like a Bosch. Like you press on a Bosch and it goes. With an Avinox, you've got to spin it more and it goes. Now, they say you can change that in the settings. I fiddled the settings. I didn't manage to get it to do that. It's very similar to the Go Bow. Talked to Go Bow engineers. They told me, hey, yeah, we can change that. That's a software thing. So if Avinox update the software and give it to me to try again, I'm probably going to have one at some point soon again. Polygon, there you go, there's another brand. I would expect the motor to be better, but it's marketing. They're brilliant at marketing. I mean, you've got to give your hats off to Avinox. They paid the right people to have the bikes a year before they were on the market, and then review them, say they're amazing, ride them, go on about them all the time. And they do suck battery though. When you're in full power mode, that battery does not last very long. It absolutely drains it. I mean, I did like 3 kilometers, 20% of the battery gone. I was like, whoa, that's not good. But, you know, I mean, essentially, it's like a car selling a car off its top speed. How many people are actually going to use top speed? Not very many people. Does that mean it's rubbish? No, because it can go that fast, but it is a top speed. Yeah, the Amflow looked a bit rubbish. When I saw it in person, I liked it more than the press pictures. Yeah, it's got a good shape to it, good integration. There's no doubt. It's not like, you know, but they don't only service. This is a big problem. So I talk to most bike shop owners regularly, and service is an issue. We do need good service. You're going to spend thousands on a bike. You need 100% service. So if I break down now with an Avinox now, today, I have no chance of repairing it. None whatsoever. Bosch, there's a shop here, I have a chance. That's the thing. So if I'm on holiday, I've got the bike with me and it breaks down and it's not Bosch, basically I'm screwed. So if it is any other brand, Shimano included, unless they've got widespread bike shops with parts on hand, you're pretty stuffed. Specialized, probably not going to break down, probably going to be all right. Probably going to have some spare parts availability in the shop because they do carry it, especially where I live anyway. But, you know, Bosch is, Giant's also pretty good if they got a good dealer network. The Yamaha were good as well. They, you know, it's a bicycle. If I take my bicycle on holiday, I've got with me the Mondraker, and I'm going to do a test in Italian, actually, not in English. I've done the English test, and it's got a problem with it. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Luckily, call the Bosch, a few seconds later, I've got a possible solution. I can ride it anyway, even if it's a bit knackered. But, you know, it's, yeah, 100% next bike will be a Bosch motor, needs service and reliability above all else, and a battery that is designed by them, especially after the Canyon Spectral fiasco. Yes. There are some people who are stuck without a bike working for 6 months. I mean, you could just go ride it. The batteries weren't going to explode unless you went in a rainstorm and it had a definite crack in it. But, you know, but they had to cover their ass. So there we go. E-bike motor repair in the US, repairs any motor and will refurbish to new for 400, 500 US, a new 1 week turnaround. Wow, that's great. If they've got service that do that. There's one in the UK as well, which is actually in Fordingbridge in Hampshire, where I used to live as a kid. I used to go to school there, a school called the Burgate School. And the #1 repair place for motors in the world is right next to my old school, which is quite unbelievable. I really want to make a visit there to go and see them and go visit my old school. I'm going to stand out. I'm going to do a video standing outside my old school going, look, this is where I went to school. And oh, look, here's the #1 repair shop in the world for e-bike motors. Isn't it amazing? In fact, I took one of the first e-bikes, a Cube Stereo 140, which my mother owned, which was the very first e-bike that Cube made. And I took it there because, or it got taken there because the motor wasn't working. There were some few dodgy things, and they fixed it for like 250 quid, which is amazing. And that bike is still functional and working, and it's an original bike. But you know, it's going to take a while for componentry. These companies need to make components available. Ascol, very interesting, built one of those motors. I actually built it, took it apart, looked at it all. Very simple to repair. Fantastic. The original Bros motor that Specialized used to use, very complicated to repair. It comes apart and you sort of see the layout on it. It's a bit difficult. Found it a bit annoying to get inside, to look at. And the Bosch motor, the original Gen 2, take it apart, not so easy. Shimano, impossible to take apart. I took one apart once. I was just like, no, and I just put it back together. I don't want to touch that. Too complicated. I'm currently waiting for a new Shimano E8000 motor. Cost 960 pounds. Ouch. So expensive. I wonder if they actually cost that to make. I don't know how much they cost to make. I have to find out the unit cost for making a motor. That would be an interesting. I know Pink Bike, quite a long time ago, did a video on how much it costs to make a mountain bike. And they went around a trade show to try and price together a bike. The biggest problem is these. So normally one cell, 18650 or 2700 cell, 21700 cell, they cost about $4 each, more or less. Or was it 4 amps? They're 4 amps or $4. I can't remember. I think it's $4 each, the high quality ones. So if you have 10 in a block, that's $40, and you have 5 of those, that's 5 times 4 is $200 of just cells at the base price that they buy them at. So they're going to add a markup to that. So even the base price of one of these batteries is going to be around $250 to $300, and they're buying mass quantities of cells at cheap. They're getting the high quality cells cheap. You can get 18650 cells that cost $1 each, but they're not very good. So yeah, looks like a Forest style. Yeah, it is actually. They got this carbon swing arm thing. That's a good point. I never actually rode Forest style. That was a big. They made a lot of noise when they came to market, and then nobody ever tried their motors or bikes. They just vanished. That was a bit of a damp squib, let's say. Previous E8000 motor, yeah. I had an E8000 motor with 10,000 miles on it. It was fine, absolutely worked brilliantly, and kept working for, no problems at all. Battery died eventually, sold the bike. And they're putting new battery. Have you checked out the Mustache clutch bike? I've checked it out, but I haven't ridden it. So I've got to get hold of one. I've got a long list of bikes to get hold of. Such an effort to get hold of it. Even if you've got the number and you know the marketing manager, you call them, they don't answer, they're busy, and you say, hey, can you sort me out a bike? And they're like, oh, program ahead. And the answer is normally, I've got one for you in a month, or I've got one for you in 6 months or 3 months. And then you've got to remember to get there. And by the time you've probably got there, the bikes aren't available, or they're gone, or you're busy, or you forgot, or I don't know. It can be a problem, actually. Even getting hold of this there is a test center in Garda, which is worth going to if you want to try one of these bikes. And yeah, so many bikes. First world problems, eh? It's a bizarre job to have, to be able to test all these bikes, I have to say, guys. It's a privilege. I'm grateful every day. And I love it when the comments said, who are you? Nobody watches you. Nobody looks at you. No, nobody watches me on Motor.it where I get 100,000 views on some videos. No, nobody watches that. So there we go. My Canyon Tour-Con was down for 5 months. They upgraded me to a 900 battery, and I got my Fox X2 warranted too, and got a factory one for $25, and Canyon refunded me $600 too. They had to. Well done, Canyon, for actually being upfront about that. But you know, it's a bit appalling. I don't know how that got through, because it was a bit like the Bros motor fiasco for Specialized, where the motors broke because the belt snapped. And I mean, I figured out why. So basically, in my opinion, what happened was Bros and Specialized were giving the motors to very good riders to test ride. And these very good riders who test rode probably rode it like a bicycle with a high cadence, because I had one of those motors and I never broke it. It was absolutely fine. And I had like thousands of kilometers on it, no issues whatsoever. Motor was perfect. And then I gave it to my friend. He rode it around a car park and it snapped. And I was like, what? What's going on there? I figured out why. He rode it round in like 11th gear and just belt couldn't handle it. Ping, broke. Never happened to me. I always rode high cadence. Even before I got on the bike, I checked. I didn't heavy it through whatever it was I was trying to get through. And yeah, and basically he snapped it. And I was like, Specialized should have given their motors to people who don't know how to ride bikes rather than everyone who knows how to ride bikes. And that way they will get the motors absolutely abused and all the worst things done to them, and they can figure out what works and what doesn't work before it gets to market. But they didn't do it that way. So there we go. They must have lost millions of pounds sorting this mess out. Yes. I mean, I don't know how many bikes they sold. If we assume they sold, I don't know, should we guess? Let's say they sold 5,000. 5,000 bikes, and they gave 600 back to 5,000 people. I mean, you know, that's quite a lot of money. And we're talking 3 million plus buying new batteries. Yeah. Can they afford it? No. Can the bank afford it? Probably. Maybe they had to ask that famous basketball player who is now involved to borrow a bit of money. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe the owner has a very smart Porsche, like the one of YT, and you can just sell that and that will cover the warranty costs. We don't know. Apparently, the boss of YT got absolutely murdered on the German internet forums on MTB News for that. So I think he's going to struggle to hold his head high in public or turn up anywhere in that car. Because obviously, you know, the whole business went bang. Hopefully they sort it out. It would be good. Don't like to see anyone suffer. But yeah, definitely an issue. But there we go. Anyway, guys, right. We've been on stream now for 1 hour and a half. That's quite a long time for me to talk. And I appreciate the feedback, all the comments. If anyone got any last comments there, drop them in now. I'll answer them, and then we'll end the stream in a few minutes. Really interesting video, Alex. Do you know when this is released in the UK with the Avinox Motor? Ooh. Why don't I message? He's not going to answer now, is he? Do you reckon he'll answer now? I don't know. Maybe. Jonathan. So the marketing manager, let's see. When is the bike? It's this simple sometimes. You can just ask, bike available with DJI in UK? I have a question from a viewer. Thank you. So let's see how good he is. Does he answer on a Sunday night? I doubt it. A bit rude of me to send it on Sunday night, but there we go. Or a geeky, whatever. Really interesting. It's a really great bike, and kudos for doing this video. No worries. Yeah, I mean, this bike, I'm going to write. I mean, I've ridden it once. I have got the review. It's all filmed, but like I forgot, and I didn't really want to post it, so I'm going to refilm it and do it all over again. That's what I'm here for. Keep up the good, honest work, Alex. It's appreciated. Love the behind-the-scenes motor manufacturer page you do recently. Yeah, that was amazing. I loved it. I absolutely love it. I mean, I got a sort of electronics background as well. I studied electronics as well. My father was an electronics engineer. you know, I know a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. I know enough to be dangerous. So yeah, I have my own soldering station. I can build electronics. I understand what's going on with them. Actually, motors are very simple devices. Those boards as well. It's all software now. You know, if you increase the MOSFET's capacity, you can increase the power, and as long as it all matches through the system, that the battery matches the whole thing, the whole system has to match to get the maximum power. And that's where Avinox have done quite well, actually. I heard you talk to Steve Jones, everything you know about EMTB. Yes, that's pretty true. Steve Jones. He's an interesting character. Yes, I gave him his very first e-bike to ride. That's a true story. 2012 or 2013. And he looked, I said, here, Steve, try this. It's really cool. And he looked at me like I was, I don't know, diseased. But he rode it. He had no helmet on that day, actually, I will say. He went off a ride from it. I said, yeah, just post a picture on your Instagram, no, on your Twitter. And he did. And he said, oh, it's great. It was amazing. So, you know, he rode it, had fun, and then obviously saw that it was the future. I know the Merida E9000, I think it was the bike that really convinced him. But yeah, I gave him the first bike, talked him through it, explained it. It was unlocked as well. It wasn't a legal e-bike back in the day. We were riding around on these bikes that go 50 kilometers an hour up and down the trails. So, you know, so he did technically ride a motorbike first. So that's probably why he loves DJI, because he was reminded of his very first bike with me, which was a 45 kilometer an hour bike. I was trying to find the video for that, but it's gone. I have a big stack of discs and I couldn't find the original video about that bike because I did have one, but I can't find it. So I may go and have a look again, but you know, I have actually got him. That was at the very first Enduro World Series. So yeah, it was a long time ago. I've got a whole video actually. I've clips from that I want to put together. How can you convert an EPA to class 3, 28 miles an hour? I think we're long overdue having some kind of software hacking, because look, if you can hack, you can jailbreak an iPhone. You should be able to jailbreak one of these. But the problem is where you're using it. If you're in America, you can do that. And you can actually in Europe, but you're supposed to have a number plate and insurance. And the problem, okay, so this whole speed limit thing, most people don't really know where it comes from. So from my research, which is not 100% confirmed, but from what I understand, the reason we have a 25 kilometer hour limit, because they did some kind of study where cyclists running into pedestrians, what happens above 25 kilometers an hour? Apparently the injuries to the pedestrian become exponentially worse. So that's how they arrived at the original 25 kilometers an hour limit. Now, I don't know that, I can't confirm that, but that's what I've understood from what I've read. So to keep them a bicycle, which means you can mix traffic, mix users, so you can have a cyclist walking or riding next to a walker on the same path, that kind of makes sense, because it's more about the urban use, it's not the off-road side of it. But you can take it, so one could argue, say, well, actually, if it's an off-road bike, we can just have no limit because we're riding off-road, no one's there anyway. True, but you can take that as a bicycle and then ride it in the city, and then you've got a problem because mixed use. So they rather just class everything as bicycle, and therefore that's why they put the speed limit on. The fact it's 32 in America, 32 kilometers an hour, I don't know why that is. Can't answer that question. But could you have links for your sponsor, Liat, for purchasing items from your YouTube channel? I've asked them about that. They don't have it. It's almost like a good thing, really. I mean, it's bad for me because I could get like affiliate, but it would be good. Liat is one of the best equipment makers out there. So I'm fortunate they sponsor me. But at the same time, they don't have a direct affiliate code linking system, which is really crazy, but they don't yet. I agree there. And you would hope the GPS and the technology would allow that the bikes can ride faster off-road. The limit is garbage for calling up fire roads, etc. Yes, it is. It is. I mean, look, as a bike journalist, I believe I should follow a certain path, and that path should be speed limit, because I'm promoting a product which is legal. Now, I can show you how to unlock it off-road, no problem. Like on private land, no problem. Absolutely no problem with that. But keep it in that space where you don't come into conflict with other trail users and you don't cause an issue. If you can do that, no issue at all. But if you apply that to thousands of people, we got an issue maybe, depending on the land pressure, user group. And I studied this at university, you know, pressure of, especially water. I did it more relating to water users, so jet skiers, kite surfers, windsurfers, bathers, yacht people, commercial traffic, all in the same user space, and the conflicts can arise. So I can understand that from a technical point of view. And the other thing I always do is I always wear helmets. You never see a video with me riding a bike without a helmet, very rarely, because wear a helmet. That's basically safety. You're not wrong in and of itself, but it's another nanny state thing. I see your point of the masses. Yeah, I mean, look, you know, who doesn't like fun? I mean, I like fun. My kids just want to go faster. They're faster than me now. And I'm not slow. Someone called me bumbling along. I love that one. I need to get some more water, guys. Hang on a minute. Yeah, somebody called me bumbling along. My goodness me. It's like, has anyone realized that PO view cameras make you look slow unless you're really fast? So this is the most uncomfortable live stream I've done ever because of my back and the uncomfortable seating arrangements. But yeah, it's basically, yeah, an issue. You've got to, when you're riding off-road, you've got to be aware of other trail users. I mean, I always slow right down to slower than they're walking and go, hi, thank you, and walk by. Just total respect. That's what I do. And I encourage, but you know, not all people do that. They just straight by and issues. So I can understand. Do you have a view on the Uno myth? I've spoken to Caesar, the owner of the maker of that. They don't have any to test. I will say something about that. Interesting. So I know somebody who test rode the original one, and they said it was weird and didn't ride properly. And now they're riding one with the DJI Motor and they love it. Don't know. So I stopped filming my rides once I watched the film back and realized it looked like I was walking my bike down the trail. Yes, that's basically what it looks like. Okay. One time I rode with Nico Vulio, me and Nico Vulio. Like, that's an honor. And he was behind me and he saw me riding and he was listening to what I was doing, or was watching what I was doing. He was like, oh, wow, I saw you do that. It was quite impressive. And I was like, oh, thank you. I was just like, oh, wow, Nico Vulio thought it was. And then I went riding with him, trying to keep up with him, going down a trail. And he was trying to stay in contact with me. And we finished the trail. And I said to him, so Nico, tell me, how hard were you riding there? And we were on a trail he knew. I didn't know the trail. And I was risking my life, basically. And I was riding as fast as I could on the edge all the time and just making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake and just living dangerously. And Nico says to me, he goes, Alex, I was riding about 30% speed. I'm like, oh, really? That's interesting. I was like, oh, dear. So I was slow compared to Nico Vulio. But then I go ride with the masses and the public, which I do quite a lot. And I see what the average public rider is. And they don't ride fast. They just take it easy. I mean, they're like, the average person who buys an e-bike is not a high-speed rider. They're a pretty average person just riding along, having fun, staying safe. And, you know, I can leave them in the dust if I want to. But then I know other bike journalists who ride really fast. But I'm not sure riding really fast necessarily proves much, apart from just looking good. Because if you're trying to explain how a bike works and you're riding at 10 times the speed of everybody else, that bike only works like that at 10 times the speed. If you ride 2 times their speed, it works differently. So, you know, and that is why we don't need 10K bikes. Exactly. Good point. I'm liking this discussion, actually. By the way, the Uno Myth, I want to get one to try, can't get hold of one. I did ask Caesar to come because I had an argument with him on LinkedIn. If you go on LinkedIn and look on Robin's page from Enduromag on his LinkedIn, there's a discussion and there's a huge comment section. And I joined in, bit of fun. And yeah, basically, just going to check my battery level of my mic, by the way. And is it okay? It's okay. We have enough. And yeah, writing down there, or writing down on the list there, I was just arguing with him about the software tunes of the DJI, saying like out of the box, it's just full power and just cadence only. And he's like, oh, you can tune it. Anyway, so I said, why don't you bring me a bike? And then we messaged each other and he said, I can help you tune it and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. And then it turns out they don't really have any bikes, and maybe they can. And you can't get time off. So I said, let's ride together on my trails so we can remove any bias from it. I'll pay for my lunch. I'll pay for my travel. You pay for yours. Let's keep it no brand deals, nothing. Let's just keep it honest. And I say this will be the very first bike test you haven't had to pay for. As a joke, obviously. And he was up for it. Yeah. I'm extremely privileged to own a Myth and a Vala. And if I was in Italy, you could ride mine, Alex. Your style would be interesting to hear. My Vala is an amazing bike. The Vala is an amazing bike, and the Bosch is a fantastic. The Uno is a widowmaker. I mean, you know, like the amount of people that can actually access the full performance of one of these bikes is probably one person in 1,000. Fundamentally, one person in 1,000. There's no way you can access the full capacity of these e-bikes unless you're a pro rider and you are paid to ride fast and paid danger money. Otherwise, it's like none of us can access them. I mean, look, this has got a 38 fork on it. You don't need a 38 fork. You ride a non-e-bike. A 36 is overkill. You're like, what the hell? Why do I do it? But you enjoy it. It's good on 36. Put a 38 on it. It's like, oh, what the heck? You know, I completely agree. I would never reach the limit of either bike, but I love both. The Vala, I've ridden the Vala. It's an amazing bike. An amazing bike. I absolutely loved it. It blew me away how good it was, actually. And that was with the old software tune. I put the new one on it as well, and it was still amazing. Definitely would love to spend more time on it. And I've also ridden the Bullet, which is, that bike is unbelievable, but you can't access the speed. I mean, who can access that speed? No one. I can't. So there we go. And if you've got a Vala and a Myth, you're a lucky man. Well, you've probably worked hard, or maybe you're a dentist. So did everyone watch my Levo dentist video? I thought that was quite funny. And I have to say, my friend who's a dentist, he actually owns a Specialized, which is even more hilarious. So yeah, he owns a Specialized. He is a dentist. There we go. Did you think it was different enough to the Vala, the Bullet? Ooh, to justify the difference, if you're a very good rider, yes. If you're just an average to medium to below average rider, not really. Hi, I own and run an IT company. I'm not a dentist. You can still have a job, or is AI going to put you out of a job? That would be an interesting one. So, because AI is not going to put me out of a job from as far as I'm aware, because they can't ride the bikes, they can't have a provocative opinion, they can't push back against people. It just follow the marketing drivel. So, but yeah, IT. Maybe we can hack e-bikes together. Why don't we do a business where we learn to jailbreak all e-bike motors? Like, you can probably put that as an offsettable cost on your business expenses. Have a guy program you turn right. Your aim is to jailbreak e-bike motors, so we can just do what we want to them, and we have a nice little side business. I know a guy who tried to, I think he jailbroke a Bosch E Plus. It's called EPLUS. And they said it took 2 years. So there we go. AI will make us all more efficient, and most of the hype is just that. Yes, I agree. I don't really use AI. I try to, but I don't like it. Even writing, all my articles I write on Motor Diet, I do them with normal writing. I might, if I'm really tired and in a mad rush, I might use it to sort of do a structure, but I always fill them in. And most of the AI models quote me and quite a few people. As I noticed, AI is quite regional as well. When you do a research of bike product stuff on it, it gives regional answers, which is interesting. And I've had other people who used AI to come up with ideas for work, and it always references me inside Italy, for example. And that's interesting. I love it. I'm not sure my insurers would be happy to do it. I will open an Italian subsidiary and you can do it. Let's try. Why not? I'd love it. But I mean, my programming, I can do basic programming, you know, not like, I don't know, how do you hack it? What do you have to do? They must be encrypted. There must be an encrypted thing. Or can we do like they do with retro computers? You can just get a new board and repurpose all the sensors. I don't know how that would work, but it's possible. I think an AI will do uphill ride video of opinion. I think an AI. Yeah, I know. I thought you said owl, Maldine, but you said AI. Yeah, so that's his new nickname apparently. Anyway, but it would do. Yeah, but trying to like, how can we hack a bike? I mean, the end users. I mean, the people who make. Okay, they're locked down for a reason because of keeping them a bicycle. That's part of the EPAC rules, which I have, by the way. If anyone wants a copy of them, I have them. They're very expensive to get hold of, but I have a copy. So if anyone wants to find a particular rule, I can drop your copy in private. But yeah, basically, that's why they're locked down. So you can't modify them to meet the EPAC European transport rules. But that is not. But again, it's a product you buy it, so why can't you change it? Because you own it. But again, private land, public land use comes in. So you can jailbreak it, great. Use it off-road, private land, no problem. Take it on the road. How do you know it is or it isn't? In Italy, they had a crackdown in northern Italy. They confiscated, I think it was like 50 or 100 e-bikes from food delivery riders. They're all hacked, a whole lot of them. And they confiscated them all and fined them all like thousands of euro. It's essentially their motorbikes, so they need insurance, number plate, and they don't have them, so they had to crash. You know, all of the what do you call it, the liability. So yeah, it's interesting. Happened in the UK as well. Oh, they hacked, they crashed, it's a real conundrum. Amflow have the neatest solution with a VPN region setting. Chips are much more painful to use. Yes, they are. And everyone cheats with the VPN. Yeah. Again, I mean, look, I spoke to the boss of Bosch, and he's like, when I retire, I want to make sure that I'm still able to ride my bikes on trails. And I'm like, okay, this was like a one-on-one chat. I was chatting in the woods. And I cannot possibly comment. Everyone lives in New Zealand. Oh my goodness. Why don't they put Antarctica? There's like, or the Cook Islands, or some little island somewhere. There's a massive quantity of, I do know Specialized. If you go into their computer system, you can see all the Specialized bikes currently online in the world, and they just show little dots everywhere. They're all anonymous, but it's there. I know they can see it and they do it. So it's beautiful there since I moved there with my, oh no, interesting, brilliant. So yeah. I wonder what the warranty claims department would be like. Yeah, we've got a lot of people in New Zealand here. What's going on? So technically, I'm wondering if that's actually, sorry to ruin the fun, is that legal? Because according to EPAC rules, you're not supposed to be able to modify to be an EPAC. But if you live in New Zealand, there are no rules. Also, if you live in Newfoundland in Canada, there are no rules. There are no rules. BC, yes, but Newfoundland, Canada. Try switching your VPN to Newfoundland, Canada. Tell me if it gives you the same settings, because technically speaking, Newfoundland, Canada, there are no rules. So I wonder about Greenland as well. Just set it to one of these nations. It might not just be New Zealand. there might be quite a few places. Maybe we can redistribute the people around a bit, so keep it a little bit fresher and less obvious. I mean, there we go. So anyway, we're getting distracted. Are we getting distracted? We've still got 15 people on the stream, actually. So the stream's been going now for 2 hours. How do I talk for 2 hours? Imagine how hard it is for me to edit sometimes. There we go. Anyway, but honestly, this is the great thing about YouTube. I think it's fantastic. Right, bedtime for me. Looking forward to the next review. Yeah. I'm going to end in about 5 minutes. So keep it up to 2 hours. Nice steady stream, and then end off there. What's your ideal bike if you had to choose one? Slash Plus Trek. Love it. Absolutely love it. I'd love to ride the Yeti as well. It's got a TQ HPI motor, which is fun. I like it. I like that motor. Silent. Dead silent. So, and how do I send you a Patreon or something for a beer? There might be a donate, show your support for Alex Bike Tester. You can send a sticker or a super chat. You can send me a super chat. Yeah, I think if you can send a super chat, make your message stand out. So I appreciate that. That's pretty amazing. So yeah, you can send a super chat. And I'll get that. YouTube will get some of it, but I'll get some of it. So that's good. Nice stream. Good night. Thanks, Tom. I always appreciate your comments. Fantastic to watch. It's fantastic for everyone who supports the channel because it really motivates me. And I like doing live streams. I want to do more regularly. I haven't been able to because of various reasons, but I'm going to try and do one every 2 weeks. That's the aim from September on, if I can get that down. And I would love to get, more and more viewers just to keep it a bit more real. I'm kind of annoyed with all the marketing crap. I want it to be a bit more easygoing. Dude, wow. Thank you. Dude, that's incredible. I appreciate that. That's amazing. Thank you. What a dude. I appreciate that. So, yeah. I'm glad you're having fun on your bikes. So, yeah, and let's talk hacking. Is it possible? Maybe you can talk to one of your engineers. Because just be for fun, even if we just did it on a channel, it'd be great just to hack for fun. I need to go and see the E+ guys, but they're very cagey. They're very cagey characters. So, it's a difficult thing to invade software. I mean, I had an Amiga, Commodore Amiga back in the day. I used to hack. I used to basically remove all the DRM off the disks. I had a device that I could do that with and then create stuff. So anyway, Volspeed are interesting setup. Yeah, I need to have a look at that. So I know it's possible, but tech's moved on. I don't know. Who knows? And Atari and the rest. Yeah, I had a Action Replay 3. I could freeze what was in the memory, dump it to disk, create my own boot disk so it would reboot, and yeah, it was unlocked. And you could do that with any copyright disk. And then I had another thing which would do a synchronized copy of the disks. So it would synchronize the drives. So it would just do an exact copy. So the DRM didn't work because there's some clever DRM out there back then. But there we go. Anyway, that's another story, another channel, tech channels. I love retro, by the way, guys. So hence why I like this as well. Retro top. I saw that. I was like, I need that. So cool. Right, guys, we're up to 2 hours on the stream. I think I'm going to sign off now. There's been a lot of activity tonight. I'm really grateful for everyone joining in. And I like this to be able to connect with the end user. And I'm going to do this with a podcast style with a friend of mine who's also a bike guy and works for Trek. So that'll be interesting. Hopefully get him in on it a couple of weeks. Should be able to have one stream up running doing that podcast. I need to pick a right night for it. I'm not quite sure which will be the right day of the week. I mean, in the winter, it's a bit more easy because everyone's online night, but depends on also the whole time zone because of the viewership where they're in. But I tried to pick like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Seems to be a good time for a couple of hours. People are there watching, interacting, and you can ask questions and I can tell you anything you want to know about what I ride. No filters here. I'm not paid to do reviews. If I do a review, it's unpaid. I always say that. So anyway, okay, guys. So thanks for the impromptu stream. Stay safe, ride safe, wear your helmet, wear your neck brace. That's what saved my life. Otherwise, I'd be in a wheelchair. Remember that. And yeah, back protection. Always stay safe. Try and ride with others. I don't always ride with others, but try and do it. Keep your 2 wheels on the ground, and you know, eat healthy, look after yourselves, and enjoy and have fun, and work hard so you can buy more bikes. Anyway, all right, guys, take it easy. Thanks for watching the stream, and we'll catch up with you soon. And there should be a video coming in the next few days, hopefully, if I've got time to edit it. We'll see how I do. Anyway, bye, everyone. Take it easy.